は大失態だよ、ハルデラ君。まさか君が飼い犬に手を噛まれるとはね。
Welcome back to the fruit of Grisaia.
申し訳ありません。
勇敢である君には随分と目をかけてきたつもりだし、私もそれなりの便宜を図ったつもりだったが、これは私に見る目がなかったということなのかな。
いえ、決してそのようなことは。
でもさ、君実際逃げちゃったんだろ。9029号がさ。そりゃね、9029は特別な番号だ。過去の経歴を含め君に一任するのがベストだと思っていたさ。何せ君はあの命令無視の常習犯だった日下部麻子をコントロールできる唯一の人間だったんだからね。それがどうだい、今回のこのざまは。首輪を引きちぎって逃げたって言うならまだいいさ。どうせ名簿には乗っちゃいない男だ。こっそりと処分してしまえばいいだけの話だ。だが安泰を連れて逃げたとなれば、そりゃ話は別だよ君。これはもう命令無視なんて話じゃない。国家反逆罪だよ。どう責任を取るつもりなのか
ね。申し訳ありません。
アルデラ君、君ね。私は別に謝ってもらいたくてこんなことを言ってるわけじゃないんだよ。ハートはなんだね、ハートは。まったく冗談じゃないよ。小から小になってやっとオフィスの看板を掲げられるようになったかと思えばこの不始末だ。君ね、うちはただでさえ外資外資と煙たがられているってのに、これ以上私の立場を悪くしないでくれよ。休日に子供とも遊ばずに勉強して、私がどんな思いで赤絨毯の個室を手に入れたと思っているのかね。
知らないわよ。
何か言ったかね。
いえ、空耳か被害妄想ではありませんか。
とにかくだ、9029号の立ち寄り先の予想リストをすぐに用意してくれたま。
ですから先ほど説明させていただいた通り、9029号が逃亡した場合、一度でも足を踏み入れた場所は避けるはずです。過去に9029号が住んでいた場所や任務で訪れた場所を除外したリストは提出済みです。それと、これはあくまでも勘の域を出ない推測ですが、9029号はかなりの高確率で都内に、それもここからそう遠くない場所に潜伏していると思われます。
それは飼い主としての直感かね。一応君の言う通りに二種装備の捜査官を待機させてはいるが、漠然と都内と言われてもだね。
クローバー12より緊急、内容29を発見、現在追尾中。
場所は
港区新橋2丁目、烏森神社方面から汐留方面へ向けて徒歩で移動中。服装は黒のスーツに青系のネクタイ、手荷物の類は所持認められず、指示を求めております。
安泰はイリス・マキナは一緒にいるのか。
いえ、単独です。
よし、確保だ。
いえ、ダメですよ。そのまま尾行を続けさせてください。ここは下手に刺激せずに新宿と渋谷の実動を応援に回して潜伏先を突き止める方が先決です。
確保して尋問すれば済む話ではないのかね。
相手は9029号なんですよ。
君は今自分が置かれている立場を理解しているのか。君にはオブザーバーとしての意見は求めても作戦に対する決定権は与えられてはいない。
ではご自身の責任で発令を。私はステイを進言したということをお忘れなく。
まあいいだろう。ファレル君、とりあえずは現状維持だ。
了解。クローバー12 This is Queen Not contact Maintenance of the status quo Repeat Not contact Maintenance of the status quo。
私は中央発令所に入る。君も来るかね。
いえ、私が行っても場が乱れるだけでしょう。こちらで待機させていただきます。
場合によっては君の身柄を拘束されることになる。覚悟しておきたまえ。
はい。疲れた。
お疲れ様です先輩。コーヒーいかがですか？
お願い。
デカフェで？
カフェインたっぷりでお願い。なんかもう飲まなきゃやってらんないって感じ。
本部長の嫌味節ねちっこいですからね。内閣府で石部副長官の腰巾着をやってた頃からあんな性格だったって噂ですよ。
あまり言わないであげてよ。あれでも一応うちの立役者なんだから。
あれ？
どうしたの？
嘘、なんで？
報告しなさい。何があったの？
クローバー12シグナルロスト。
一体何が？地下に降りたわけではなくて？違い
ます。場所は東口中央広場で。
今度は何？
造園に向かったトランプがハート9、スペード6、ダイヤエース、シグナルロスト。
どういうこと？
そんなの私に聞かれても困りますよ。ただシグナルがロストしたということは発信機を破壊されたか殺された。
残りのトランプは？
ハートジャックのみですがまだ配属2ヶ月の新人です。
ハートということは女性工作員ね。若いの？
はい、まだ24歳ですね。
その子胸は大きい？
は？
バストは大きいかと聞いているのよ。どうなの？
ちょっと待ってください。身長172センチでバストは88センチですね。
9029は巨乳に甘いのよ。いいわ、その子には即刻引き上げ命令を出しなさい。
でもそんな命令勝手に出したらまた本部長に。
このままでは全滅すると中央に伝えなさい。それと事後処理班を現場に急がせて。
はい。
責任は私が取ります。急ぐ。
はい。
ユージ。
What on earth are you thinking? Right here, Makina.
心配するじゃんかさ。勝手にどっか行ったらダメなのよ。どこ行ってやがったのよさ。
Just cleaning up the neighborhood a little.
掃除？
Noticed a few rats skulking around. One of them got away, but I took care of the rest. You don't have anything to worry about. Look, it's still 3:30 in the morning. You can sleep a little longer.
わかった。
That's right. Nothing to worry about. Just leave everything to me. For the time being, I've chased off the suits. The next ones they send will probably be Special Forces or SAT, I guess. Well, whatever, hardly matters. Whoever comes, I'll just take them out one by one. It's killing me. Alright.
もうどうしてこういうことになるのかね。ハルテラ君。
現状維持命令を解除するからですよ。相手は9029号だと言ったはずです。
ああ、君はいつもそうしてその番号を口にするが、所詮は2代目じゃないか。そこまで大騒ぎするようなことかね。
その油断の結果はご自分で確認されたのではありませんか。襲撃された工作員に死人は出ましたか。
いや、重傷者は出たが4人とも命に別状はない。
ということはまだ封印は解けていないということですね。9029号風見雄二には日下部麻子だけが解くことのできた封印がかかっています。元来風見雄二という男は臆病で気が小さく殺人を好むような人間ではありませんし、幼少期の体験がもとで殺人に対する強い精神的外傷を持っていて、殺人という行為に自我を保てないほどの極度の恐怖感情を持っています。
それは資料で読ませてもらったが、殺人が好きな子供などそうはいまい。それで普通なのではないかね。
資料はちゃんと目を通していただけたのですか。
効果表には目を通した。
そんな成績表だけで理解できるほど単純ではありません。
十分だよ。風見雄二は12歳の時実の父親を殺している。それが原因でトラウマを抱えているという話だろう。
本人がそう信じているだけで実際に殺したわけではありません。
だが結果的には父親は死んでいる。同じことだ。つまり何が言いたいのかね、君は。簡潔に説明してくれたまえよ。私も忙しい身でね。資料を読み込む時間もなければ君の長話に付き合っている時間もないのだよ。
父親の殺害、そして母親の自殺。 この2つの死を風見雄二は自分のせいだと信じています。そして幼かった彼はその呵責に耐えることができなかった。そしてその呵責を取り除くために日下部麻子は彼に暗示をかけたのです。弱い者を守るために戦ったのだから何も間違っていない。お前は正しいことをしたのだと。
その結果、風見雄二は殺人を事故で正当化できるようになったというわけか。
いいえ、違います。彼は幼い頃に両親を殺害したのも、これまでの任務で暗殺してきたテロリストも全部自分の右腕に取り付いた悪魔が勝手にやったことだと信じるようになったのです。
わからんな。なぜそんなことに。
子供ながらに最も安直な回答である俺のせいじゃないという答えに逃げ込んだ結果でしょう。
なるほど、そういうことなら理解できないでもないか。
でしょうね。
何？どういう意味かね。
他意はありません。
つまりだ、自分のせいではない、全ては悪魔の仕業だと信じることで風見雄二は暗殺任務に従事することができていた。そしてその暗示をかけることができたのが日下部麻子だったと、そういうことかね。
いえ、逆です。悪魔のせいにすることで片っ端から人を殺してしまう風見雄二を暗示で押さえつけていたのが日下部麻子です。
まったく複雑だな。つまり風見雄二に殺人許可を出していた日下部麻子はもういないのだから安全なのではないのか。事実、未だ死人は出ていない。
そうではありません。違います。人を殺すなと暗示をかけ続けていた麻子はもういないのです。いつ暗示という封印が解けてしまうか予想がつきません。
その暗示というやつは簡単に解けてしまうようなものなのかね。
わかりません。ただ一つ言えることは、この暗示は麻子の言葉をキーワードとした風見雄二自身の自己暗示と思われます。もし風見雄二にとって日下部麻子と同等、もしくはそれを超える存在を意識した時、同時に自己暗示も解けてしまう可能性が高いと思われます。
自己暗示が解けた場合、風見雄二はどうなる？
自分の守るべき対象にとって有害であると認識したものを片っ端から排除していくことでしょう。日下部麻子が健在であれば、そんな風見雄二も道具としてコントロールも可能でしたが、今となっては。
道具とはどういう意味かね。
極めて殺傷能力の高い国防装置という意味です。ですが今はそう、例えるなら手榴弾のようなものです。手榴弾には不用意な暴発を防ぐためにセーフティーピンが刺さっています。そのたった一本のチャチなピンがあるから腰にぶら下げて歩くことができるのです。そしてそのピンを引き抜き敵陣に投げ込むのが戦士。風見雄二のピンを抜けるのは戦士である日下部麻子だけだった。私たちは日 草壁麻子の道具である風見雄二をいじくり回しているうちにピンを抜いてしまいそうになっているのです。目的もなくピンを抜かれた手榴弾は誰であろうと区別なくその場にいる人間を全て巻き込んでひき肉にします。草壁麻子がいない今、ピンが抜けてしまえばおそらく彼は暴走するでしょう。殺しの手札に迷いがなく、他者を殺害することに遠慮もなく、殺したことへの呵責もない。そうなってしまえばもう誰にも止められません。
なーに、殺せば止まるさ。どんな人間でもね。壊れた部品を使い捨てにするようで心苦しい限りだが、彼には殉職してもらおう。それで構わないね。
お任せします。
まったく面倒な狂犬を逃がしてくれたもんだ。私は中央に戻るが、何か思い出したことがあればいつでも連絡してくれたまえ。
はい。参った。何かあるたびに私のところへ来るの勘弁してくれないかしら。
なんかえらいことになってきましたね。
あなた仕事しているふりしながら盗み聞きしてたわね。
やだな、ちゃんと仕事してましたよ。先輩が提出した風見雄二の資料大体読み終えました。何やら凄まじい過去と経歴ですね。
そう？うちではそれほど珍しくもないでしょうに。その手の不幸を背負った犬なんてうちにはゴロゴロいるわよ。
本部の方ではどうするつもりなんでしょうね。
さあ、でもまあ CSS や NSA の捜査員では限界があるでしょうし、今頃本部長は本社のお偉いさんと特殊作戦部隊を何単位派遣してもらえるのか交渉してるんじゃないかしら。
本国の精鋭が出向してくるとなると、さすがの902も店じまいですかね。
そうね。生きて戻ってくる確率はほぼゼロでしょうね。けどあの子は草壁麻子が育てた犬よ。一度牙を向いた相手にはたとえ手足をもがれようとはって飛びつき喉笛に食らいつけ、首を落とされても睨みつけて呪い殺せと訓練されてるわ。子犬の頃から年間6万ドルもの税金をかけて育てた犬よ。私たちは一番厄介な犬を敵に回しているという事実から目を背けてはいけないのよ。
でも
Even if you wipe out the enemies who come for you, they're never going to stop coming, Yuji. When I was a child, there were nights when my head ached so painfully I couldn't sleep. I don't know why. I think a doctor my mother took me to said something about stress being the cause. It began with something that felt like a slight fever. Soon, my head would begin to throb painfully in time with the beating of my heart. I didn't think it was stress. I thought I was starving for something. For affection or love. Something like that. Some frustrated longing was making its impossible demands on me. One evening, I suffered an unusually severe headache on my way home from school and crouched down on the roadside in agony. I looked around the area, my vision hazy and periodically obscured by pure white flashes of pain, but couldn't find anyone who seemed likely to help me. But that was only to be expected. It was natural. Nobody's going to volunteer for the thankless hassle of looking after some sick kid they've never seen before. I thought as much myself, so I'm sure the people passing by felt the same. Dragging my heavy legs forward as if slogging through knee-deep mud, propping myself up against the wall, I crept my way home all by myself. When I finally reached my house after what felt like hours of miserable effort, my big sister met me at the door. The instant she saw my face, it felt like my sister spoke some concerned words, but apparently my ears weren't working properly. I couldn't understand what she was saying. When I thought about the painful, lonely struggle I just endured, her sympathy only grated on my nerves. I snarled bitterly that it was a little late for her to help now. My big sister's face crumpled miserably. I knew I'd done something wrong, something worth apologizing for, but I didn't have the composure to tell her I was sorry. Ignoring my sister as she tried to speak to me again, I moved past her into our bedroom. I couldn't even muster the willpower to climb up to the top of the bunk bed where I slept. Instead, I opened the closet, collapsed inside it, then slid the door shut with the last of my strength. I liked cramped places. I liked dark places. I felt most at ease holed up in places too small for others to enter. It felt like I was safe there. Like I was cocooned in the cockpit of a powerful robot. There was nothing to be afraid of in there. The pain, so intense that it felt as though my skull was cracking apart, began to ease little by little. I wanted to stay there. I wished I could curl up in that closet forever and never have to leave. Even knowing that was spoiled, pointless escapism, I couldn't help but indulge in it. When night came, my sister woke me up. She asked me if I had calmed down, and I realized that I had. I felt almost refreshed, in fact, but at the same time, there was a tickle of awkward self-reproach. Right, I need to apologize for snapping at her. Just as my thoughts reached that conclusion, I felt a sharp pain in my right hand. When I looked down, I noticed the wound on my right fist, deep enough to expose bone. I had no memory of injuring myself so badly. As I puzzled over when it could possibly have happened, my sister spoke to me in a subdued manner. It seems your homeroom teacher committed suicide. For a moment, I couldn't process the meaning of those words. Suicide? In other words, the man took his own life. Even as I wondered why, a smug sense of satisfaction welled up inside me. I hated that teacher with a passion. He never complimented me when I succeeded, sneering at the smallest sign of pride. He focused exclusively on my failures, belittling me as a defective human being. He hurt me every single day. The man seemed to have entered the teaching profession just so he could reenact the miseries of his own childhood on his pupils. I'd silently urged him to die many times. It felt like what he deserved. I looked down at my right fist, covered in congealed blood. Did I kill him? While I was unconscious with this headache, did my body crawl out of this closet all on its own? Did this hand kill my teacher? That anxiety stretched on and on indefinitely. When my head began its brutal aching, somebody would experience misfortune. The pattern repeated itself several times. My head hurts. I want something badly, but as always, I can't even tell what it is I'm longing for. That thirst for something never did go away. I want help. Anyone will do. If anyone would reach out a hand to me, I'd probably cling to them and cry like a child. At this rate, it feels like I'm going to go crazy. I want to be alone. I want a cramped place where I can take refuge. I want to curl up in a dark place and sink into death as I'm falling asleep. It was always my sister who opened the closet door and brought me out of my seclusion. There were times when I wished she wouldn't, when I found her irritating. And my sister died in a traffic accident. I didn't hate my sister or even dislike her. If anything, it'd be no exaggeration to say she was the reason I was able to keep on living. Even so, my sister died. Why did she die and leave me behind alone? The question did inspire some reproachful feelings. But I still remember the look on her face that day when I answered her kindness with a snarl of irrational anger. In the end, I never did apologize. I could never manage to say the simple words, "I'm sorry for yelling at you." That always weighed on my mind. When I think of my sister, her troubled expression on that afternoon always flashes before my eyes. I can't stand it anymore. I wish everything would just come to an end. But maybe all of this was my fault. I gnawed on my possessed right hand until it bled. And 1 year after that, just as I'd wished somewhere deep down inside, the devil in my right hand took everything from me. My father died, and my mother as well. I must have been the one who killed them. All of them. I slaughtered them all. I'm the lowest of the low. I was a vital monster in the body of a child, and the person who took me in was an even more terrible creature. Taking the place of my father, who had died leaving only deaths behind, that man brought me to his mansion to live like a dog. Every day was pain, nothing but pain. Bitter, excruciating pain, beyond my capacity to endure. To escape that suffering, I would have quietly committed suicide. But I couldn't die. Not when they punched me until the bones in my face shattered. Not when they kicked me until my organs seemed to burst. Not when they covered me in gasoline and set me on fire. I felt pain. I suffered. But no matter what they did to me, I never managed to die. The devil in my right hand must have forbidden it. I'd forfeited the right to live as a human being, but maybe that wasn't all. Maybe I'd lost even the right to die. What was so valuable about my existence, preserved at the cost of so much blood and suffering? Why was the devil keeping me alive? I didn't know. Forget the meaning of my life. I couldn't understand the reason I wasn't dead. I reached my limit. The thirst grew so agonizing I was beginning to wonder if it would ever stop swelling inside me. Since things had gone this far, I had no choice but to purge myself of the devil that was the source of my suffering and thirst. I began by smashing my right hand against the concrete wall of my basement room, but the pain was so strong I couldn't help easing off. I tried slicing it off with a knife instead, but whenever I tried to cut through the nerve, agony ran through my entire body, so it was difficult to keep pressing the blade down. All I managed was to cut myself deeply. The bones in my wrist were getting in the way, so I tried to scrape them down with the knife first, but the thick blood that spouted out made the blade slip and slide around, so I couldn't grind away very well. And every time the blade did catch in the bone, the grating movement jarred my skull with sickening vibrations. In the end, I simply fainted from the pain. The adults in the mansion tied me up with ropes to prevent me from mutilating myself any further, and they whispered in my ear the same words, repeated many, many times. Nobody needs you. Nobody wants you. Even your family despised and resented you. No one in the world loves you. No one in the world is on your side. Everyone is your enemy. Hate them. Hate them all. Anyone your eyes can see is your enemy. They made you suffer. They disgraced your family. They trampled your friends underfoot. That is the nature of your enemy. Kill them. Kill them all. You have my permission. Slaughter them like cattle. Hate everything. Kill everything. That is your only road to salvation. And so I killed all of them. Everyone. I might have killed my sister. I murdered my own parents. But even after all that killing, I still haven't been saved. Why not? Haven't I killed enough by now? That's right, I haven't killed myself yet. I'm not finished yet. I've got to take my own life. But how? I can't just murder myself. I don't know how it's done. Nobody ever taught me. What do I need to do before I can die? I spent 2 weeks without eating any food. My arms grew thin as the branches of a dead tree. My front teeth fell out, and my fingernails grew soft and began to warp away from the skin underneath. When I reached up and touched my head, hair came out in clumps, but there was no pain. It seemed that I was simply going to wither away to a mummy. I would sleep in my crypt, waiting for the day when someone would offer me blood. However many years it took, however many decades, however many centuries, until someone who can save me appears. Until my sister comes to wake me up. Yuuji. Yes, that was my name. My sister always called me that. Until my sister calls again, I can only wait in a slumber so deep I'll forget even my own name. I wanted someone to pull me up out of this hell as quickly as possible. But I had fallen into hell for a reason. I had done an evil thing. This was only natural. This was my punishment. When I came to, I was in an unfamiliar room. It wasn't my basement prison. There was a window. The pale bluish light of the moon flowed in, and the air felt a little cold against my skin. On nights like this, where the moon hung fat and swollen in the sky, my sister used to moan in an awful tone of voice from the bunk bed below my own. It was always like that on the nights when the moon was full. Suffering, sadness, desperation. Her voice spoke of many different emotions too strong for words. It frightened me when my sister moaned. I would wrap myself up in my blanket on the upper bed, covering my ears tightly, but still the voice seemed to pass through my skull and burrow directly into my brain. That overly bright moonlight flowing in from outside the window might well have driven me mad. I stood up from my bed, approached the window, and looked out. A single girl stood beneath a snowstorm of sakura petals dancing on the wind, her back turned to me. What was she doing out there at this time of night? In the first place, who on earth was she? As those questions drove every other thought from my mind, the girl turned around and smiled brightly. Our eyes met. Overwhelmed by the uncomfortable feeling that had been peeping on her somehow, I willed myself to pull back and hide, but for some strange reason I couldn't move my body even an inch. It was almost as though the force of her gaze had pinned my moonlight cast shadow to the ground. As I stood stock still by the window, the girl softly raised her right hand toward me and began to speak. My ears were ringing. The girl's voice couldn't reach me. When I concentrated on the girl's mouth as she repeated herself, I read the softly spoken words from the movement of her lips. Over here, Yuuji. She was calling for me, clearly and simply. And when I focused on her with complete concentration, her voice itself became clear as a bell, sinking deeply into my mind. The girl was definitely saying that. As she offered me her outstretched hand, tears began to roll down my face. Can I really take her hand? Is it really alright for the likes of me to take that hand? The instant our fingers intertwined, the devil in my right hand might kill the girl. My body began to tremble uncontrollably. I was afraid. This is a dream. I want to wake up right away. When I see dreams like these, my right hand always tries to kill someone. I can't take any more. I don't want to lose anyone else.
Papa?
Snapped abruptly back to the waking world by a familiar voice against my car earlobe, I saw a girl crouched down at my side. That girl, her eyes full of concern, spoke to me.
Papa, また泣いているの?
Hey, Makina, fine, it's nothing.
なんでもなくないよ。どうしていつも泣いているの?
No, really, it's no big deal. Men just wake up crying sometimes. Sort of like a wet dream, you know? Don't worry about it.
ど どうしてそんな怖い顔をしているの？私には話せないことなの？
Yeah, that's right. It's got nothing to do with you, so you don't have to worry about it.
そんなのずるいよ。私だけ助けてもらって、私じゃパパを助けてあげられない。話すのが辛いなら何も聞かない。それに私あんまし頭良くないから、きっと話してもらっても上手に慰めてあげられない。だからね、前にね、傷ついた男の人を慰めるのは女の裸が一番だって。
Kind of pathetic how true that is.
だからこっちにおいで、パパ。
Those words send a jolt of surprise through my body. I've only just realized the voice of that girl in the dream, the voice that seemed to sink into the depths of my heart, was Makina's. The girl who waited all that time, all those years, her hand patiently outstretched, offering to lead me out of hell. Never would have thought she'd turn out to be a stumpy little airhead like this, but here we are. I find myself wrapping my arms around Makina, clinging to her like a child. Oh, sorry, Makina. Never thought I'd sink low enough to make you comfort me. Pretty pathetic, aren't I?
それでいいのよさ。男が女を抱く理由なんてそれで十分なのよ。おいで、パパ。キスしてちょうだい。
I obediently bring myself closer, feeling the quiet touch of her breath against my face. A feminine sigh, it's a warm, soft sensation, like a slow summer breeze too gentle even to ruffle your hair. Dawn has just begun to break outside. The morning light that flows softly into the room faintly illuminates her pink lips. Catching a brief glimpse of her small tongue in between those slightly parted lips, I push my mouth to hers as if reeled in by the jerk of a rope. It's the smell of a woman. A surge of vague nostalgia runs through me. But this fragrance is unlike that of any other woman. It makes me feel like my brain's been soaked in hot water, warmed down to its very core. It makes me feel like I'm safe. As I bury my face in Makina's almost alarmingly slender chest, the scent grows stronger and stronger. And in the next moment, she's wrapped her arms around my head in an affectionate embrace. Nothing to worry about. Why is it that being held by this tiny woman brings me such peace of mind? Still pressed to Makina's chest, I turn my eyes up to her face. She's smiling gently down at me, almost like a mother gazing at her infant child. But I can't answer that sweet smile. Along with the hint of awkward embarrassment, I'm filled with something like guilt. When those innocent, caring eyes find mine, dark and ugly feelings swell up in response. Don't pity me. Don't take me for a fool. What's with that look? You don't think you really understand me, do you? Don't try to accept me. You don't have the first darn idea of what I am. The words rushed into my head like a deluge of black mud. A part of me suddenly wants to teach this girl a lesson, to make her break down and cry. This is no good at all. I'm always like this when I see the bad dreams, warped to the point that even kindness brings me pain. Suddenly miserable with self-pity and on the edge of tears, I hurriedly pull myself away from Makina. I'm sorry, Makina.
どうしたの？どうしてパパはいつもそうやって謝るの？私が悪いの？
It's not true. It's not true at all.
私のこと嫌いになった。
Oh, I love you, Makina, and that won't ever change, but because I love you, there are things I can't help worrying about.
聞かせて。
I can't explain it that well, but I'm not the sort of person who belongs in a normal school, who deserves a normal life. My hands are just too dirty. You have no idea what ugly things I've done. You can't even begin to understand. I can't just have happiness fall on my lap. I don't deserve it.
許す。
What?
だから許す。私が全部許す。気にすんな。
You saying, kid?
パパの過去に何があったのかは知らないのよ。でもきっとそれは誰も許してくれないほどの罪なのよね。だったら私が許す。たとえ他の誰もが許さなくても私が許す。
You're not making the slightest bit of sense, you know?
誰も許せない罪で悩んでる方がむちゃくちゃだよ。目の前でまた開いてる女が許すっつってんだから許されときゃいいのよさ。
You really are talking complete nonsense.
むちゃくちゃ大いに結構。正論が正しかった例などないのよさ。パパはもう私のパパなんだから死ぬために生きるなんて私が許さないのよ。
Firmly settling my head against her breast, Makina gently strokes my hair. Honestly, this girl really throws me off my game.
お願いだからしっかり生きてね。大丈夫。私がずっとそばにいるからね。
Thank you, Makina. I'm no longer even capable of bluffing, pretending that I'm the one protecting Makina. All I can do now is cling to a younger girl like a child, hoping for his mother's forgiveness. I can't even keep myself from breaking down into tears. As I listen to the steady sound of Makina's heartbeat, I can feel the lingering pain in my head quickly receding. Some part of me believed I was cursed, that if I talked to anyone, they'd be dragged down into hell with me. But now, it feels like that heavy spell's been broken. All because of the small words coming from the small mouth of this small woman. I'm grateful to her from the very bottom of my heart. Just as the sparrows begin to chirp outside, the rusty old air conditioner in our window seems to remember its purpose, shaking the curtains as it belches to life. The bright, clear morning sun slips through the gap and streams into our room. My head doesn't hurt anymore. Hope that helped you, Yuuji. By the time the sun's risen cleanly above the horizon, my body's starting to wake up. Makina trots over to the corner, unplugs our small fridge from the outlet, then connects the cord for her bread-making machine in its place. I was just lying in bed spacing out, but watching the girl grinding her plug into the outlet while yelping. I can't help breaking into laughter again. And deciding it's about time I get to work myself, I push my liquid body up off the ground.
はいパパンがパンとね、はいよーお待たせ、パンが焼けたのよ。
Nice. Briggy here. What did you make for us today?
カレー好きなパパのために今日はカレーパンなのよ。
Looks tasty.
ほんでパパはさっきから何をしているのよさ。
Knitting socks for our baby.
おお、靴下ってのはホームセンターで買った肥料から作るものなの？
That's right. It's a new synthetic fabric made from nitrogenous fertilizer.
嘘よね。
Yeah, it's a lie. Bring me those 2 plastic containers lying over there, will you?
いいけど何すんの？
I'm filling them up with an iron powder mixture and adding saline solution.
どんな靴下になるの？
The sock thing was a joke. In any case, let's eat once I'm finished with these.
わかった。
The 2 of us don't have much in the way of cash on hand right now. Paying in advance for 10 days in this room didn't help. And we can't just start withdrawing cash or swiping credit cards, of course. There's no easier way to track a fugitive than through the movements of their money. I did have a little bit of a slush fund stashed away for a rainy day that the company doesn't know about. But I left that money too with a third party connected to Asako, who's helped me out several times in the past. There's a chance that information might have leaked to Grisaia through JB, so I can't just wander over carelessly and knock on the front door. With my company as an enemy, it's proving frustratingly difficult to get my hands on cash. To be brutally honest, we're a pair of children up against a large organization run by deadly serious adults. I doubt our playground tricks will keep them off our tail for long. No matter how hard we run, 1 week would probably be an optimistic estimate. If the cards fall wrong, we might end up being taken into custody today. In the cold light of day, I can't help feeling that it would have been wiser to cool down and talk things over with JB at length, instead of thrashing around emotionally like this. But a straightforward negotiation strategy wasn't really an option. If the Irisu clan was feeling comfortable enough to indulgently hear out a child like me, they wouldn't have turned to an extreme measure like an assassination in the first place. For the moment, I simply had no choice but to smack aside our pursuers one after the other. I've got a feeling today is going to be one heck of a long day. Uh...
突入時間15分前です。
各員、配置についた？
非常口の担当員がまだです。扉の前に廃棄自転車が放置されているようですが、排除しますか？
排除しなければ扉は開かないの？
はい、そのようです。
ならそのまま放置。 むしろ扉が開かないようにその場にしっかりと固定してしまいなさい。
了解。
Less than 12 hours after their commotion last night, specifically at 5 o'clock this morning, there was a misdial directly to my office from outside line. Chiara Farrell answered, introducing herself as a receptionist at the fictional company we used to screen all outside calls. A young man on the other end of the line said, "I'm sorry, wrong number," then instantly hung up the phone. Some people are apparently still under the impression it takes time to trace a phone call, but that hasn't been true for decades. Today, everything is managed digitally, so it's possible to retrieve the relevant data instantly via JMON. Our trace revealed that the call had been placed from a public telephone installed in a park in Suganami Ward. We attempted repeated callbacks immediately after the man hung up on us, but no one picked up on the receiver. Agents were dispatched to the site immediately. My hypothesis: the person who placed this call was almost certainly Kazami Yuuji. Most likely, that nasty little brat was intending to stand by with a watch in one hand, measuring the time it would take for our agents to arrive. Should we arrive on scene within 10 minutes, he would learn there were active service personnel searching the neighborhood. If, on the other hand, we were to take longer than 30 minutes, he could conclude that our net had been spread wide and thin. When your opponent gives your net an exploratory tug, it's only natural to try and use that against him. Assuming a scenario in which our personnel arrive on the scene an average of 7 minutes after the call, even if you begin sprinting immediately after hanging up the phone, it would be difficult to cover more than 1.75 kilometers. Taking into account Kazami Yuuji's athleticism, I arranged for all multi-story architectural structures within a 2,000-meter radius of the public telephone to be searched. Four sites fit this criteria: the JTTC Hirasawa Building, Parkview Suginami, Central Tower Higashio, and Sun Avenue's Clio. Plainclothes agents were dispatched to search all of these. 19 minutes later, I sent a dummy agent to put on a show of investigating the telephone itself. After 4 minutes of this, an agent spotted Kazami Yuuji descending an emergency staircase on the high-rise apartment Parkview Suginami, a building which afforded an excellent view of the park below. We commenced shadowing him. A full hour of evasive maneuvering around the city ensued, but eventually he led us back to a lodging facility that seems to be serving as his hideout. The 11 agents relieved our pursuit team and settled in for surveillance. After 3 hours, they reported a confirmed sighting of our real target. I drew up a formal proposal for a forcible entry and waited for the go-ahead from HQ. And just about half an hour ago, I received authorization. At present, a special ambush team consisting of 23 members, including backup, has been deployed around the building. The raid begins in another 10 minutes.
管理人の老婆を含め建物内の人間の退避が完了しました。突入10分前です。
気づかれた様子は？
サーモセンサーでの反応では室内の熱源は2つ。1つは部屋の右奥、もう1つは部屋の中央、 30分前から動いていません。
動いていない。会話はあるの？
レーザー搭乗機による超音ではカーテンの影響で精密確認はできていませんが、テレビの音声らしきものが部屋の外からでも確認できていますので、おそらくはテレビを見ているのだと思われます。
嫌な予感がするわね。突入時間を30分延長して様子を見ましょう。
バカを言っちゃいけないよ、ハルデラ君。周辺道路を通行規制するのに一体いくらかかってると思うのかね。住宅地ではないのは幸いだが、あまり時間をかければ周辺店舗などの営利業務者からクレームがつくぞ。ですがじゃないよ君。君が提出したプランにはヘリまで申請してあったそうじゃないか。たかが一匹の野良犬にどれだけ予算を使う気だね、まったく。
そんなもの後で請求書でも書いて、うちから薩長、薩長から永田町、永田町から入助に回せばいいのでは？
君そういったデリケートな話題はこの場では言及を避けたまえよ。
そもそも私の提出したプランでは表向き不足第4条を適用したはずですが、
しかし不発弾処理による周辺退避となるとマスコミに対する粉飾の必要が出てくるだろう。大掛かりな偽装は避けようとの通達はあったはずだ。
万が一作戦が失敗した時のためのエクスキューズでもあります。必要な粉飾です。
だからといって災害派遣申請が通るのを待っていたら日が暮れてしまうよ君。
突入開始時刻5分前です。
よし突入。
まだですよ。5分前って言ってるでしょうが。
君そんなに怒らなくてもいいじゃないか。
キアラ最終確認を。
はい。突入班アルファ、バックアップブラボー、封鎖班チャーリー、観測班デルタ、救護班エコー、各班連携完了です。
いいかね、重ねて確認する。イリス・マキナはできるだけ無傷で確保すること、彼女は強力なカードになる。殺さずに確保を優先する。9029号が障害となる場合は強制的に排除して構わない。現場にもう一度通達を。
はい、
構わないわ。伝えなさい。
クイーンより各トランプへ。アリスを保護せよ。ラビットが障害となる場合排除を許可する。遅れ。
Crying out loud, none of this is playing out the way I wanted it to. We may be part of a ministry instead of an agency now, with a nice sign outside our office, but all we really get out of the deal was a lot of politics and red tape. Our group was far later on its feet as a permanent combat unit. Admittedly, this is a fairly small-scale spot mission, but I can't even get a surveillance helicopter in the air, let alone airborne early warning. My plan was already covered in red pen before it even made it up the chain to the brass. Who promptly authorized it in that mangled form with no alterations whatsoever. They cut giant holes in my strategy, then dumped it right back onto my desk. I'd at least understand the amateurs and the Irisu family signing off on this, but we're supposed to know what we're doing here.
デルタチームより緊急連絡。建物周辺から爆発物反応を検知したそうです。
種類は？
二酸化窒素です。ニトロ系ではないかとの報告です。
なーに構わんよ。ブリーフケースの中のマッチを爆発物だと騒ぎ出すような連中の報告だ。気にすることはない。作戦は続行する。
危険です。
君ね、安全な仕事がしたいのなら転職することを勧めるよ、アルデラ君。
どうしますか？間もなく突入時刻ですが。
本部長。
構わんと言っただろ。突入だ、突入。
早速胃が痛くなってきたわ。
突入開始時刻です。チームアルファ突入開始。ワイヤートラップを解除。建物内に侵入します。
Nausea settles heavily in my stomach. At the same time, a hazy uneasiness swirls deep inside my chest. There's nothing I'd like more than to burst out of this room and run away. The queasiness in my stomach I owe to Director Utsuko's pig-headed rashness, and I more or less understand where the gloominess in my heart is coming from as well. In any case, I got a bad feeling about this. To be more precise, I've got a whole range of bad feelings about this, and not much else. Yuuji is a shrewd man with the instincts of a wild animal. I can't help feeling we caught his tail far too easily. This should be approached as a potential trap. It certainly looks as though we've cornered him, but even a small shift in events could reverse that dynamic entirely. No one's as light on their feet as those convinced of victory, and the lighter you are on your feet, the easier it is to knock you to the ground. I know Kazami Yuuji learned that lesson well. After all, I'm the one who taught it to him. I'm scared. Good luck, Yuuji. Goodbye.